Are you looking for a super cute and new bucket hat pattern? This tutorial is for you. Hi, it's Christa at the Secret Yarnery. Today I'm going to share with you how to make the super cute flower bucket hat. The hats have this super gorgeous petal border and they look so cute on. You can make them any size you like just by customizing the number of rows you make and how many increases you do in round 4. Small, medium, large, and extra large. Plus, if you want to make a super small one, like newborn size, I'll show you the trick to do that at the end of the video, as well as in the written pattern. I'll be making this cute hat with you today in this gorgeous purple color. This is like an adult size small, and you can also do it in any color you like. This is my favorite one to wear because it matches everything, and of course it still is a happy little hat, and it has the cute little petals, but it fits in with a lot of clothes that I wear. So don't think you're stuck with spring colors or Easter colors. You can make your hat in any color you like. Before we get started, tell me what colors you're going to use in the comments or pop a photo up on the community tab. To make your flower bucket hat, you're going to need yarn. I just use size 4 worsted weight acrylic or 10 ply if you're in Australia. You just need scraps for the top and then whatever color you'd like to make for your hat. For the small size hat, you need 50 grams of yarn. For the medium, you need 80. For the large, you need 110. And for the extra large, 140. Now the size of the extra large is 13 inches across or 33 centimeters. For large, it's 12 inches across or 30 centimeters. For medium, 10 inches across or 26 centimeters. And small is 9 inches across or 23 centimeters. So to make these super cute flower bucket hats, you'll need yarn. I'm just using size 4 worsted weight acrylic or 10 ply if you are in Australia. I'm also using a 6mm crochet hook. And some stitch markers help in the beginning to decide the size you're going to make. You can just mark where you're doing your increases. So stitch markers help. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a needle for sewing in your ends. Here are the timestamps. You can jump back into where you left off, and let's get started. To start the flower bucket hat, we're going to start by making a slip knot, any which way you normally do, shrinking that down, popping it onto your hook, and chaining 3. You could do a magic ring if you prefer. And now into this very first chain we made right here, we're going to slip stitch to make a ring. Just pop your hook in any which way, doesn't matter where. And before you slip stitch, we just want to get ourselves organized. We want to pull it down to make a U underneath your hook. And we want our tail following that U shape. And then just hold it open with your finger and thumb and slip stitch to form a ring. Don't let go. You still want to have it open. And chain 2. This does not count as a stitch. We're going to make 11 double crochets into the center of the ring, right where we're holding it open. 11 double crochets. And now you can let go because that stitch is going to hold the center open. And we're going to do 11 double crochets into the center of the ring, taking care to go over your tail. If you run out of room, you can grab that first chain and your new stitches and just slide your stitches back. Give yourself some more room around the center of your ring. You want your stitches laying side by side, nice and flat. So there's 11 double crochets, not including our chain. And we're going to slip stitch right over to the top of our first double crochet. So we're ignoring that chain completely. Slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet. A little slip stitch. and chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. Now grab whatever color you're using for your petals. For mine, I'm using white, and we're just going to pop our hook in, not where our join is, not at the join, but that stitch right after, right there. So pop your hook in, a loop of your new yarn on your hook, bring it through, slip stitch with both strands to join, drop your tail just holding it along the top edge of your work, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So that counts as our first stitch. Wrap your yarn twice, and we're going to start a treble crochet, but we're not going to finish it. So we're going to wrap and take off 2, wrap and take off 2, leaving those last 2 loops on your hook, and we're going to do that again. So wrapping your yarn twice into the same stitch, taking off 2 loops, taking off 2 loops, and now you have 3 loops left. Wrap and take off all 3 loops. Like that. Chain 2, and now into the next stitch, we're going to do 3 of those together. So our chain counted as that first stitch. So we're going to do 3 treble crochets, but we're going to finish them together. So starting your first treble crochet, but leaving the last 2 loops on your hook. Starting your second treble crochet, and just taking off 2 and taking off 2. So we have 3 loops left on our hook. Wrapping your yarn twice into the same stitch. And now we can just finish everything together. So take off 2, take off 2. Now we have 4 loops on our hook. Wrap and take off all 4 loops. And chain 2. And now we're going to do that in each stitch all the way around, starting 3 treble crochets, but finishing them together. So leaving the last 2 loops on your hook, doing that again. So starting a second treble crochet, leaving the last loop on your hook. So we have 3 loops, and we're doing that a third time. Taking off 2, taking off 2. Now we have 4 loops on our hook. Wrap and take off all 4 loops and chain 2. So you can pause the video, keep working around, starting 3 treble crochets into each stitch, but finishing them together, and chaining 2 in between all the way around. And I'm going to meet you when we get back to where that join is. My chain 2 right over here. When you get back to that join area, we are going to treat that stitch or that join as 2 stitches, just so all of these, it'll just match a lot better. So into this stitch before the join, we're going to go right in there and make our 3 treble crochets together. Just push your hook in and start your 3 treble crochets. And finish them together. And chain 2. Now we're going to do that after the join as well, into this stitch right here. And we can work over that tail as well. So wrapping your yarn twice, start 3 treble crochets, and finish them together. Always leaving that last loop on your hook. And then taking off all 4 loops. Chain 2, and now we're going to slip stitch to join, but after this cluster. We're going to go into this stitch right here. It's after that set of 3. It's right where we finish them together. So we're going to go right into that stitch right there. That's where we're going to slip stitch. So I've done my chain 2. I'm going to slip stitch to join, chain 1 to secure your yarn, and cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And that finishes round 2. Now we're going to go on to round 3, which are the leaves. So grab whatever color yarn you're using for your leaves, and you can just pop your hook into any space. We're just going to be working in between these petals. It doesn't matter which one. Just pop your hook in, loop of your new color on your hook, bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail just holding along the top edge of your work and chaining 2. 1 and 2. So that counts as our first double crochet. And into this same space, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So 3 double crochets into this space, and you can work over your tail for these 3 stitches. You are going to have to still sew your tail back in, but at least it helped a little bit. Into the next space, we're going to do 4 double crochets, and you can work over that tail whenever you get to it. So 4 double crochets into the space. And 4 double crochets into each space all the way around. So you can pause the video, keep working along, 4 double crochets into each space, and I'll meet you when you get right back to where we began, right over here. When you get back to where we began, we're just going to slip stitch right into the top of that chain to join. So it's going to pop your hook in. You want 2 strands on the top of your hook. Just push your hook in, 2 strands on the top of your hook, slip stitch to join, and chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up, your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. So now we are going to size our hat in this next round, and you can just decide how big you want your hat to be. Now to size your hat, we're just going to be going in, we're going to add shells in to the center of those sets of 4. So that's where we're going to do our increase. So for medium, I'm adding 6 increases. So every other shell, I'm working into every other shell. So I skip 1, work into 1, skip 1, work into 1, skip 1, work into 1. That works for medium size. If you want to do a large, that is 8. So I'm working into 2 and then skipping 1, working into 2 and then skipping 1, working into 2 and then skipping 1, all the way around. So there's 8 increases for large size. And for child size, we're just doing 4 increases. So skipping 2 and doing 1, skipping 2, doing 1, skipping 2, doing 1. So there's 4 increases for small size. And you can, of course, customize it for whatever size you like. Just keep in mind it has to be an even number. So you can do 2 increases, you could do 4, you could do 6, you could do 8 if you want to do this border at the bottom. So that's the trick to it. But you can just decide how many increases you are going to do. For my size, I'm doing 6 increases. If you want to be sure, you can just grab some stitch markers, however many increases you're going to make, and then just pop a stitch marker into the center of those sets of 4, however often you want to increase. So for medium size, it's every other shell is going to get an increase. So for small size, there is just 4 increases, so 4 stitch markers. That's where I would increase for small. For medium, there is 6. That's the size I'm going to be making. So 6 increases for medium size. And then for large size, we're doing 2 increases, or we're adding 2 into the center of 2 side by side and then skipping 1, 2 side by side and then skipping 1. So a total of 8 for large size. And if you want a super huge hat, you could increase 10 times. You can put 5 increases, 1 into each of these blocks, and then just skip 1 and do that again. And that will be a really, really big size. So pick the size you want to do. I am doing medium size, so 6 increases. Grab the color yarn you want to use for your hat, and we can just go into any space. I'm just going to go into a space just on top of one of those petals and put that loop of yarn on your hook. Bring it through, slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just holding it along that top edge of your work, and chaining 2. So this counts as our first double crochet. And into the same space, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So we're just doing sets of 3 stitches together, 3 double crochets together. I'm skipping this block. I was going to go into the next space. 3 double crochets. And in between those stitches where our stitch marker is, so in between those double crochets, I'm going to put 3 double crochets right into that space. And you can pop that stitch marker out if it's in your way. So 3 double crochets in between those stitches. We're just kind of making a space. Into the real space, 3 double crochets. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. And yours could be different, depends on how many increases you're doing for what size hat you're making. Now I have a stitch marker here, so I'm going to go in between those sets of stitches, or in between those pairs, or the center of those 4, and make 3 double crochets right into the middle, in between those stitches. So just kind of creating a new space for a set of 3 stitches. Just like that. Pop out stitch marker. And now I'm just going to keep working around, going into the space. So we're always going into the real spaces between our sets. And when you reach one of your stitch markers, we're always going in between that pair. We're making a new set or a new spot for your stitches. So you can pause the video, just keep working along, 3 double crochets into each space and 3 double crochets into each space that you're going to make where your stitch markers are. So no stitch marker in this block, so I'm going to skip over to the space. And if you want to follow along with written pattern, all of my patterns are written in plain English and available on my website, secretyarnery.com. And this block has a stitch marker, so I'm going to do 3 double crochets right in the middle of those stitches. 3 double crochets into the space. And 3 double crochets into the space right after. So we're just going to keep doing that all the way around. You can pause the video, 3 double crochets into each space and 3 double crochets into the center space right there of any block that has a stitch marker in it. You just keep working all the way around, 3 double crochets, and I'll meet you when you get right back over here where we began. So now I'm back all the way around, and I've done those 6 increases for my size hat for medium size. You can pop all your stitch markers out if you haven't already. And into the top of our chain right here, we're going to make 1 single crochet to join. So pop your hook in and single crochet to join. So that leaves us in the center of that space, and chain 2. So that counts as our first double crochet. And into the same space, we're going to make 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And now we're just going to work around 3 double crochets into each space all the way around our hat. So 3 double crochets into each space. Just like that. So you can pause the video, keep working around, 3 double crochets into each space all the way around, and I'm going to meet you when you get right back over here where we began. Now when you get back to where we began, we're just going to do that same join again. We're going to join into the top of the chain with a single crochet to join. Just pop your hook into that chain, single crochet to join, so bring your yarn back, wrap, and take off 2 loops. And chain 2. So that counts as our first double crochet. And now into that same space, 2 double crochets. And now we're just going to do 3 double crochets into each space all the way around and join just like that. So single crochet to the top of the chain to join, chain 2, and 2 double crochets into the same space. We're not going to do anything different. We're just going to build the sides of our hat. So now you want to pause the video and keep working along, just repeating that row, just simple granny stitches all the way along. And for this size, I did 10 rows. For large, it's 12 rows. And for small, it is 6 rows. So pause the video, keep working along, and I'll meet you when your sides of your hat are the size you want it to be. So I've done 10 rows on my hat. You, of course, can customize to whatever length you'd like. And now we're going to start the border. So instead of starting with or joining with a single crochet, we're just going to slip stitch into the same spot. So 2 strands of the chain on the top of our hook, slip stitch to join. And now into this next space right here, we're going to make 9 treble crochets. So wrap your yarn twice and into the next space, 9 treble crochet. So treble crochets, you wrap your yarn twice before you start, and it's a triple takeoff. So we take off 2, we take off 2, and we take off 2. So you want 9 of those into this first space. So there is my 9 treble crochet. And into the next space, right here, we're just going to make a single crochet. So single crochet into the next space, and 9 treble crochets into the next. So this is the repeat for the whole round. 9 treble crochets into one space and a single crochet into the next. So there's our 9 treble crochets. And now into the next space, right there, we're just going to make our single crochet. Now you can pause the video, just work all the way around, doing 9 treble crochets and then a single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you get back over here where we began. When you get back to where we began, we're just going to slip stitch right into that same space. So slip stitch and chain 1. Now we're going to skip this first stitch. We're skipping the stitch. We're going to start in the second stitch right there, and we're going to make a single crochet, a half double crochet, all into the same stitch, and then 2 double crochets into each of the next 5 stitches. So 2 double crochets into each stitch. Like that. So I have 2 stitches left along that edge. So into that next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet and a single crochet. And we're going to jump straight over into the second stitch on the other side. So our first stitch is right here. We're going to jump over to this stitch. And we're going to make 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet. And now into each of the next 5 stitches, 2 double crochets into each. We're just going to stop when we have 2 stitches left. So 2 double crochets into each stitch until you have 2 stitches left. So there's my 2 stitches left. Into the next, 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet into that same stitch. And now just look over to your next hill, and we're going to work into the second stitch. So we're just making this little bridge like that. So jumping over, we're just going to skip the first stitch on each side of the last and the first. And into the second stitch, 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet. 2 double crochets into each of the next 5 stitches. When we have those 2 stitches left, into the next 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet into the same stitch, and we're going to skip the stitch, the last stitch and the first stitch on the next side. And we're going to go into the second stitch. So into the second stitch, 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet, all into the same stitch. And we're just going to repeat that all the way along, doing our second row of scallops or shells or petals. So into each of the next 5 stitches, 2 double crochets into each, into the second to last stitch, half double crochet, single crochet, and we're just going to match that up on the other side. So skipping 1 and into the first stitch on the other side, 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet. And we're just going to repeat that all the way along. So you can pause the video, keep working along, and I'll meet you when you get back to where we began right over here. When you get back to where we started, we're just going to slip stitch into that where we would normally start our single crochet. So just this stitch right here, we're just going to slip stitch to join to finish that round and chain 1. Now we're going to skip a stitch and we're going to start our new round right here. If you want to count back, this is the 11th stitch from this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 right there. You don't worry, all the rest of them are going to be super easy. We just have to count this one out because it's where we join. So into that 11th stitch or the second stitch. So we're just skipping 1 and working into the second. We're going to do our single crochet and half double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into each of the next 6 stitches. All the way along, we're going to have 4 stitches left. So if you want to count your stitches, go ahead. If you just want to go until you have 4 stitches, either way you want to do it, whatever is most relaxing for you. So 2 double crochets into each stitch until you have 4 stitches left. Like that. So there's my 4 stitches left. Into the next stitch, half double crochet and single crochet. So now we're going to skip these 3 stitches on this side, and on the other side we're going to skip 3 also. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to go into the 4th stitch right up here. So we're skipping over that valley completely. So into the 4th stitch on the opposite side of the valley or on the next side, we're going to make our single crochet and our half double crochet. So it just closes up that valley. Now into each of the next 6 stitches, 2 double crochets into each, or just keep making 2 double crochets into each stitch until you have 4 stitches left. So there's my 4 stitches left. Into the next half double crochet and single crochet. Now we're going to jump over into the 4th stitch on the other side of the valley. So I count that little guy at the bottom. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go into number 4 right there. Just pop your hook in to the 4th stitch on the other petal. I'm going to make 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet into that 4th stitch. So it'll look like this. Now 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way along until you have 4 stitches left. Or into each of the next 6 stitches. So there's my 4 stitches left. So into that next stitch, 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet. And now we're just going to keep repeating that all the way along. So skipping 3 stitches on the other side and working into the 4th stitch, 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet. And now 2 double crochets into each of the next 6 stitches, or until you have 4 stitches left. When you have 4 stitches left, 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet into that next stitch. Now we're going to skip 3 stitches on the first side and skip 3 stitches on the second side, working into the 4th stitch, 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet. So now you can keep working around. I'll meet you when you get to your right where we began, and you might want to pop a stitch marker into that petal that has the 3 rounds on it already. So this has 2 rounds, this has 3. Just pop a stitch marker into that third, because as you're working your way around, it's easy to just keep going with this pattern. Just pop in a stitch marker and keep working your way around, and I'll meet you when you get right back over here where we began. When you get back to where we began, we're just going to slip stitch into that 3rd stitch on the side. So just slip stitch to join and chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through. Snug that down to secure. Sew in your tails and you're finished. Now, if you want to make a super small one, we are just going to do 3 increases at the start. So I increased here, here, and here. So just 3 increases. And then I did 6 rounds of granny stitches. And after that, in one spot, I'm trying to see where I did it, right here. I did an increase again. So 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. And then as I'm working around, that was an extra spot so that your petals will work out. And also for this petal, I just did 7 double crochets instead of the usual 9, just so it's a bit smaller. So that's a little tip if you want to make it newborn size. And if that was a bit confusing, just check out the written pattern. I have it all figured out in the written pattern. So I hope you enjoyed making your hat as much as I did. Don't forget to share a photo on our community tab and tell us all about it in the comments. And I'm waiting for you in that video up there. Stay hooked.